Hello, families of America. Let's do the freaking thing. You know what I'm saying? So, today, again, talking about some fundamentals and some basics, kind of going back to some origins of the channel, stuff that I'm sure that we've talked about before, but I think these videos are kind of going out to different folks than who would have seen some of the stuff early on, because really like two people saw that stuff and only about 30 see it now. So today we are talking about kind of the timelines associated with buying a house. Specifically, when do you need to start certain processes, such as figuring out your mortgage and getting in touch with an agent? When should I actually start looking, like actively looking at houses and, going indoors and looking up houses and things like that? So I'll give you a breakdown of this. Before I do, if you guys ever need real estate help, let us know. 1911syndicate.com. That is the main way that you keep the 1911 Syndicate in business, so that we can buy ammo and all kinds of cool stuff that we need to bring you the fun content that you need. Consuming this boring content and calling us for real estate help is how you keep the fun show going and keep my life fun as well, which is important to me. So do that. We'll get back to you if you hit us up. Okay, timeline to buy a house. Here's how I always like to do it with people. I like to reverse engineer the timeline. So I go all the way to the end of the timeline, and then we just start working our way backwards. So I'm just going to give you a hypothetical example. Say one of you hits us up and you say, hey, I want to buy a house, and I'm gonna go, okay, perfect. When do you want to move? When do you want to move into that house? Like, when do you want, like, keys? I'm moving in the door. For the sake of simplicity, let's just say it's the last day of the year. It's December 31st. That's what you're doing on your New Year's Eve. Okay. Well, if you want to be moving in on at the end of December, that would mean a month prior to that. So let's call it like the last couple days of November or the first day or two of December. That's when we need an accepted offer on a house. Like, you officially have an accepted contract, or you enter escrow, as they call it. A few different ways that you can put it. But for the time that you go, I've got an accepted offer on a house, to I am closing on the house and I'm getting on my keys, it's about a month spread there. So if you're looking at December 31st, I'm moving in. Little bug crawling on me for some reason. That would mean, hey, by December 1, we want to get under contract on the house. Okay. The step before that is, well, we need to actually start looking at houses, like actually scheduling appointments to go look at houses that you're interested in. When do we do that? And that's the one that's the most debatable, because you go, well, it depends. Almost like, look, how competitive is the market? How many options are there that are appealing to you right now? Are there a lot of them? Like, when we look at sort of the master list of houses that you find interesting, is it like, oh yeah, there's like 30, 40 houses that I think would be appropriate for us? Okay, cool. We got plenty of options. So it's probably not going to take us that long to get under contract on a house. So I would say, hey, maybe we'll start looking at the houses a month in advance. Roughly a month in advance, max 2 months. If you said, hey, look, it's really competitive right now, it's like super cutthroat, and I'm maybe not the most competitive buyer, and so it might take a little bit of time. Okay, maybe we start 2 months in advance. But if it's a reasonable market and you're like a reasonably qualified buyer, give yourself maybe a month. So that means we're starting to shop anywhere between October 1 and November 1. Reverse the step before that. Step before that is, for me, two things, which is really kind of the first big thing that we're going to bite off. That is getting your pre-approval done, which is going to determine what your purchase price could be, based on current interest rates and things like that. But assuming there's no big fluctuations that are happening there, hey, the pre-approval is going to tell us what your purchase price can go up to. Of course, you could go below that. So if the lender says, hey, 500,000 is what you can afford, then you go, okay, cool. Maybe we set the search criteria, because that's the other thing that we're doing at that time. The lender's going to call me and you, and he's going to say, all right, John, you're pre-approved at 500. Me, as your agent, is going to say, okay, cool, John, so you're pre-approved at 500. Let's set the search criteria at like 400 to 500. That way, in the event that something pops up that's 415 grand and it really works well and you really like it, cool, man. We just skated by. You don't even need to spend the 500. Like, we just lucked out. And if an agent only wants to show you stuff that's 500, I'd probably be a little skeptical of that too, because keep in mind they get paid more the higher the price of the house. So I'll usually say, let's be doing pre-approvals and setting up your search history, criteria and all that kind of stuff. About 90 days in advance, typically. Let's say about 90 days in advance. And if we have the luxury of it, hit us up about 6 months in advance. So, hey, if you want to close at the end of the year, hey, hit us up somewhere around July 1. So I can just get you in touch with the lender just for the real quick sort of preliminary, like asking the basic stuff, not the straight up pre-approval with like tax returns and all that, but just like, all right, John, so like, how long have you been at that job? Like, what kind of money do you make? What kind of debts do you have? Like, okay, you're looking good. I'm not really seeing anything that's going to be a problem. There's nothing that I really think you need to work on now to like get your credit up or anything like that. So hit me up when you're 3-4 months out from buying a place and we'll get the actual pre-approval done. So that's the timeline. Hit us up about 6 months in advance, ideally. We're going to dial in pre-approval, search criteria, stuff like that, 3 and 4 months in advance. We're going to start shopping 2 and 3 months in advance. You need to be under contract a month before you need to move in. Then you move in, you got your keys, and you're off to the races at that point. That's in an ideal world. You can condense that down into a shorter timeline. It's been done plenty of times. I think my fastest turnaround is something like 21 days or something like that, from when my buddy Austin hit us up. From the time he called me to the time we had him closing and moving in was something like 21 days. Hey, not bragging, just saying. We can work miracles, but you cannot rely on that. That's not a good system. So again, let us know if you need real estate help. This is what we do when we're not shooting guns and doing the fun stuff that we do. This is the boring side of the business, but it's the side of the business that also, largely pays the bills, keeps things going. So let me know if you guys need anything. Talk to you soon.